Hi, welcome to part 2 of the Figma Creator Kit tutorial. In the first part, we installed Figma, learned some basic tools to play around with Figma, and finally we made a copy of the Creator Kit from the Figma community to our Figma file viewer. So in this tutorial, we'll be going through in depth of how to play around with the Creator Kit and how you can use it for your projects. My name is Jonah and let's get started. So before I go in depth of how to play around with the Figma Creator, if you download the volume app, you will notice how a stack's anatomy looks like. So this is a preview of the app. So here, when you click on a publication, or in volume, we call each publication a stack. So when you click on a stack, it opens up into this main page of the stack. So here what you're seeing, this main image is the cover art of the stack. This is the cover art of your publication, magazine, or whatever way you want to position it, but this is the main cover art of your stack. Now, as you scroll down, you see individual posts within the stack. Now, these posts are actually carousels. So if you open a particular post, you can slide through each of the posts. So these are different image slides and you can slide through them. And if you swipe up, you go to the next post and you go to the next post. So this is the basic structure of how a stack is built like. There is the stack and each stack consists of a bunch of posts. So now that we have understood how the anatomy of a stack looks like, let's get started into the Figma Creator Kit. So let's zoom on to the first part, which is the cover art template. So you can zoom in by pressing Ctrl and moving the mouse wheel up. On Mac, you can click on the command button and move the mouse wheel up and down to zoom or zoom out. So it'll zoom exactly to where your pointer is. And yes, so let's get started with the cover art template. So here you can see there are a bunch of templates. These are templates for your cover art. So this could be used for both the cover art of your stack or for the cover art of your post. So if you had seen the anatomy, each post has a cover art, and after the cover art, which is your slide one, you have individual posts after that. So this could be used for any of it, for the stack cover art or for the post. Now let me zoom out and go to the next part. Now these are page templates. So this is mainly for the content within a particular post. So here are a few templates with images and text. Then there's a template with just text over here, a minimal template with a header and a text, a template with a background, a gradient, and a text. If you want, you can put a watermark of your name on the top right. And I'll be showing how to use all of these one by one. So again, there are different templates over here, and each template, if you want to use it, you just click this, press Ctrl C and paste it wherever you are going to build your sliders. Now moving on to the next part, we have fonts. So choosing the right font for your header or your title and your paragraphs is what is going to pop out your content and give it a very professional look to it. So here we have collected a bunch of fonts that can be used as header. Now you're free to try any font that you like, not just the fonts that are there in the template. But this template has a tiny curation of fonts which we ourselves use in the volume team. So feel free to play around with any of these fonts. So here you have some of the paragraph fonts which work really well with paragraphs, and here you have some for the headers and titles. Now you may not have all these fonts installed on your device. So if you don't have a particular font, you can go over here and click on download fonts. It'll open you to a Google Drive link with a folder with all the fonts in one place. Now coming to this part, which is your colors. So let's say you're going for a dark background on your post. So here are a few curated colors from our team. Now again, just like fonts, feel free to play around with any colors that's there in this template or not in this template. But here are a few tiny selections from our team. And here you have a few colors which can go along with these backgrounds for the text. Now similarly, we have light backgrounds over here and a font and a text pairing color for these light backgrounds. Now, when you want to start building something with this template, it's better not to meddle around with this page. Rather, copy things from this page and go to a workspace and work over there. Which is why in this template we have built two major pages. This is the main templates, and here there's an empty canvas called the workspace. So this is a place to play around with however you want. So you can copy things from the template, put it in your workspace and build it however you want. So let's just do a tiny demo by using this kit to build something of our own, which is different from any of this. Okay. So let's say I like this particular header. I can do Control C, go to my workspace, hit Control V. So now I have one slide of a particular post. Now I can name it whatever I want. I can call it slide 1. Now we have a cover art for a particular post. Now let's go to the next slide of the post. So let's say I want to put a very minimal introduction. So I'd probably choose a template like this, Control V, and that's it. So majorly if you get these tools, Control C, Control V, which is copy paste, that's more than enough to use this template. And let's copy a few more page templates. Let's say I like this, Control V, and I want a full image page. So I do Control V over here. So now we have a few pages. So we have a cover art and we have a few pages with content in it. And let's say I want a last page where, I tell my audience to subscribe to my particular stack. So I hit Control V. Oh, wait, my bad. Let me just copy this entire page layout. Okay. Got it. So now we have a very rough structure of a carousel, and let's start meddling around with this. So if you see over here, this is a gradient, and the reason why this gradient is put is because the moment you remove the gradient, the background becomes too light and sometimes the text doesn't stand out. Now in this case it's still okay, but let's say you had a very light background like white color, or if the sky was light blue or white, this text would not stand out. So the beauty of this gradient is that it stands out. Now you would have noticed that when I brought this gradient back into the canvas, the text is behind and the gradient is on top. So what I can do is I can go to the particular slide and pull this down and get it over here. Or else I can use Control and bracket open and bracket down for moving things up and down. If I want, I can also move it down by right clicking and clicking bring it to front, send it to back. Now let's say I want to change this image. So again, I haven't clicked this image. Now what has happened is that I've clicked this entire post over here. So if I want to click this image, I double click. So this image panel opens up. I get to choose an image. So it's in my downloads. Awesome. This picture looks good. So now I've selected the image. Now the problem with this image is I want this particular part to come on the main side. So what I can do is instead of choosing fill, I can choose crop. So now I can move around this picture. So I click, hold shift and move it over here. Now if I click anywhere outside and double click, that is selected. Awesome. So now let's say I want to change the header and call this the deserts of Sahara. I can keep a byline. If I don't like the byline, I can just hit the delete button and remove the byline. But for now, I'm just keeping the byline over here. So I could use that as a secondary byline or a description to what this is about. So readers get a rough idea on what this is, because sometimes the title is often too abstract for the reader to know what is in it. Now let's change the font. Let's pick a nice font from the template. So so this font looks pretty interesting, Champion. So first, to get these fonts, you'll have to install all the fonts from the link above, which is over here. And so let's use this font over here. So I go over here to the text panel. So Champion, I hit enter. So I get the font over here. Now, I think it would look better if everything is in caps. So either I can type this entire thing in capital letters, or else I can click this 3 dots. And over here I can choose what case do I want. So I can go for everything uppercase. I can make the font bigger. Awesome. Now I feel there's a lot of gap between the deserts and off Sahara. So I can reduce that gap by clicking this line height. Put your mouse on the icon, and then if you move it leftwards, you can basically control the line height. You can make it bigger, smaller. Awesome. So now I'm going to click the paragraph. Bring it down. So now we have a very rough cover art for our post. So if you click shift and hold, you can align it. When it's center aligned, you get this grid by Figma where this orange line comes to tell you that it's positioned in center. Now, I think it's better. So over here, there's a good cover art, but I feel it's better to add a little more personality to it. So probably I can add my name onto the cover art, that to show people that I am the writer, or so that people recognize that who is the writer, because sometimes they may not know from which publication it's coming from. So over here, if you see, you have this place which is a watermark of your name. It may not have to be your name. It could be the name of your stack. It could be your name, or however way you want to brand your publication. So I go here, I click the frame. So now the entire frame is selected. I click Ctrl C, go to the frame, hit Ctrl V. So now this is over here. This is black in color, so I can't see it over here because the background is also black. So I go to fill, move this all the way to white. And let me change my name. So here there's a mixed font over here. So if you select jobs, it's in this font called Montserrat and it's in regular. And if you select this, you'll see that it's in bold. Jonah Jacob. So I can position it over here. Now I could also mention the name of my stack. Now my stack on Volume is called Perspective. So I could put that over here, the name of my stack. So there I have a top footer, a top header, sorry, my bad, a top header. Now I can definitely choose or both of them. So I have to hit shift and click both, so I can select both of them. Now if I want to reduce both their font size together, I can just decrease it. A little more over here. So right now you can see that our cover art is ready. Now let's go to the next major slide. So this slide is in white color, but I feel to match the aesthetic of my cover art, it would look better if it's in a more light color theme. So let's call this slide 2. Slide 2. And numbering is always important, because otherwise when you export it, everything gets jumbled. Slide 3. slide 5. Awesome. So now I want a background color that's not white. I want something that's more dark. So I'll go back to the template. Now I want to choose a color. So if I like a particular color, let's say I like this blue a lot. So to copy this exact same color, if you go to the fill section, you can see the name of this color. So you can double click this, hit Ctrl C, so you can copy the hex code. Go over here, make sure the frame is selected. This is the white background. So when you select over here and change it to any other color, you can start tweaking around with the background color. So you can go here, or more specifically, if you want if there are much more colors in this frame, it's better to go to selection colors, choose the white one. You see the hex code over here, and I replace it with the one which I had copied. So I'm going to hit Ctrl V and enter. So now I got the background color. So now I want both of this to be light themed. So I select both of them and then go for white. Maybe I could go for something that's a little more different. So maybe this color looks interesting. So I'll click this, Ctrl C for the hex code. Then I go to fill, Ctrl P, enter. Awesome. So this is something that I personally like. So I'll go ahead, and if I want to change the background color of multiple slides, I select this one. So I click on the name, then I hold shift. Then I want to select this one. So I hold shift and select. I can hold shift and select this as well. Awesome. So now I choose this background, which is okay. So I get to choose this background, which is white in color. And okay, well, just give me a second. Okay, so now I've selected all these slides. I hit the plus button and I can keep tweaking and playing with the colors, but I want this exact same color. So either I can go to the template, copy the hex code, but over here I can use the dropper and go select this and click this. So now I have a dark blue background. So in this one also there's a dark blue background, except it's behind the frame. So I'm hitting Ctrl Z to go back. So let's first change the text colors, shift select, and I'll probably go for white. Now for this, I think I would go for that same cream color. Okay. Awesome. Let's go for the same cream color over here as well. Okay. Now this slide looks a bit off because of this black gradient. So maybe I could go for the same thing with the blue gradient. So if you see over here, when I've selected this gradient box, I can play around with the gradient over here. I can choose this, and here you can see it's going from black to 0 opacity. So I could probably take, instead of going from black, I could make sure that it goes from blue. So I choose the dropper, choose blue. So now it's going from blue to transparent. Now I want to change this image. So again, like when I click this entire frame gets selected. So I double click. So this opens up, and let's say I want to put this image by NASA. Awesome. And I want the rocket to be a little more towards the right. So I go hit crop, move it here, click outside the box, double click. So now I've used the template and created something that's my own. Now I can go here, and so what I could do is, since I've already made a header over here, I could go and delete all of this. backspace, click this, backspace, backspace, and I could select these two. So click this, hold shift and select this, Control C. Now I will select all the frame one by one, hold shift and select all the frames. And now I hit Control V or Command V on Mac. And now it's on all pages at the exact same spot. So in a nutshell, that's how you make it. Now let's say I want some borders for this. So I can go to stroke, make borders, play around with the color. Let's say I want something that's white. And I have over here. And this is a ending page, which is often like your call to action page. So over here I can write subscribe to Perspective. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Select both, central line. So that's it. So I've used the simple template that was available from the Figma Creator Kit. I copied them and moved them to the workspace, and I finally created something that's my own, which is different from the templates that was given to me. So now let's export these images. So you get them all outside Figma. So you select all your frames. Make sure you're selecting the frames, because if you select like this, you're not selecting the frames. You're selecting the individual text and images inside, but the frames themselves are not selected. So your final composition is always the complete frame. So when you select the entire frame, you'll notice how the names of the frame turn into blue color. Scroll all the way down, hit export. So there are 5 frames over here. Export as JPEG, 1x, perfect. Export file layers. So I'll save it in desktop. I'll call this my first post. And I save it there. So now when I go to my desktop, if I click this folder, I can see my first post. So yes, so all of this has been exported. So you can see the entire post that you have created. So it was a very simple process. You just copied and pasted it from the template, and you've built your own first post on Volume. So this is the basics. So now it's all up to your creativity and how you play around with this template. That's the essence of actually building your stack. So now you don't have to focus much on design. You can actually focus on your content rather than wasting a big bunch of your time designing if you are not very proficient with design tools. So that's it in a nutshell for this entire tutorial. So in the next tutorial, what we'll do is we'll actually create a stack from scratch. So we'll start with a stack cover art, and then after that we'll go into building our first post, and then finally exporting them and building the pilot lineup, where you actually put them and package them into a folder so that you can upload it on Volume. It's your pilot lineup that gets accepted by our editors and designers. And once your pilot lineup gets accepted, you become a creator on Volume, and then you can directly upload all your slides from the app directly. So that's it for this tutorial. Meet you in the next one. Awesome.